It's 2:43 a.m., a quiet night across the Pacific. The world sleeps, unaware that a silent digital spark has already triggered what could become the most catastrophic war in modern history. In the South China Sea, a U.S. surveillance drone suddenly vanishes. In retaliation, a Chinese satellite goes dark. The chain reaction has begun, but this war won't start with bombs. It starts with code. Welcome to the unthinkable. A U.S.-China war in 2025. This is not fiction. This is a carefully mapped scenario based on military strategy, intelligence leaks, economic dependencies, and raw geopolitics. And if it happens, the first 72 hours will rewrite history. The South China Sea is boiling. China has fortified artificial islands, deployed anti-ship missiles, and is pushing territorial claims over nearly 90% of the sea. The U.S. Navy maintains freedom of navigation patrols, but Beijing calls them provocation. A near collision between U.S. and Chinese warships in May 2025 becomes the spark. But the first attack isn't physical. It's cyber. Chinese hackers hit American ports with ransomware. Container ships stall. U.S. financial systems face coordinated DDoS attacks. At the same time, unknown actors paralyze air traffic control grids on the U.S. West Coast. Blame? Denied by Beijing. But the Pentagon knows better. Within hours, Washington greenlights Operation Pacific Shield. Stealth bombers lift off from Guam. Submarines reposition. Carrier strike groups mobilize. Meanwhile, in Beijing, military command enters DEFCON equivalent readiness.
We're thrilled to be joined by a proud Marine Corps veteran Vice President J.D. Vance. J.D.? Where's J.D.? What the hell happened to J.D.? Because he was just here. He must have gotten a call from China. He'll be here.
The first kinetic blow comes over Taiwan. Chinese hypersonic missiles strike radar installations and military runways near Taipei. The message is clear. Unification by force has begun. But Taiwan's military, long prepared for this scenario, retaliates with coastal missile defenses, targeting approaching Chinese naval vessels. Civilians flee to bunkers. Panic erupts. The U.S. activates its Mutual Defense Pact. Patriot missiles are deployed to Taipei. American submarines near the Taiwan Strait engage Chinese ships. For the first time since World War II, two nuclear-armed superpowers engage directly in armed conflict. The world holds its breath. Markets crash globally. The New York Stock Exchange halts trading. Oil spikes to $210 a barrel. Beijing shuts down U.S. companies inside China. Apple, Tesla, Intel, crippled overnight. In retaliation, Washington freezes Chinese assets. The yuan falls. The dollar trembles. India mobilizes troops near the China border. Japan and Australia invoke security treaties with the U.S. North Korea sees opportunity and fires a test missile toward Japan. Iran attacks a U.S. base in Iraq, claiming solidarity against Western imperialism. This isn't just a U.S.-China war anymore. It's a global chain reaction.
美方声称要经营中国，但不寻求冲突。实际上，美方所谓的竞争，就是全方位的遏制、打压，就是你死我活的零和博弈。
Meanwhile, the war takes a terrifying turn. The AI battlefield. Unmanned drone swarms, powered by autonomous targeting systems, begin clashing over the East China Sea. Chinese AI-guided submarines outmaneuver older U.S. systems. American satellites beam deepfake propaganda into Chinese networks. Truth becomes impossible to verify. In California, a Chinese-American teenager is falsely accused of espionage. Social media erupts. Protests begin. Ethnic tensions rise. Nationalism spikes across both nations. The digital front becomes just as dangerous as the physical one.
China says it's ready to fight until the end in any type of war with America. The comment, posted on X by the Chinese embassy in Washington, came after President Trump doubled his previous tariffs on Beijing, taking them to 20%. China quickly hit back, imposing 10 to 15% tariffs on US farm products, moving the world's top two economies closer to a trade war. This week, China also announced it will boost its defense spending by nearly 10% this year.
Within 10 days, casualty numbers reach 12,000. Civilian ships are sunk. Airports are bombed. Internet cables are severed undersea. Taiwan is blockaded. A desperate attempt at peace by the UN is blocked by China and Russia. The Security Council is paralyzed. The war spirals. Beijing threatens to use tactical nuclear weapons if the US doesn't withdraw from Taiwan. Washington issues a counter-warning. Nuclear bombers are put on standby. The doomsday clock ticks to 11:59. And then, a blackout. Major cities across both nations lose power. Not from bombs, but from a coordinated cyber strike launched by rogue third-party actors who want the war to escalate. Evidence later links it to a global hacker collective with ties to multiple intelligence agencies. What happens next stuns the world. A nuclear alert is issued in Hawaii. Residents flee to shelters. TikTok videos of incoming missile warnings go viral. Panic spreads like wildfire. But no missile ever comes. Behind the scenes, a last-minute back channel opens between military commanders in Beijing and Washington. Not politicians, not diplomats, but generals.
Will take a bigger hit than others because of our heavy reliance on trade. The last time the world experienced something like this was in the 1930s. Trade wars escalated into armed conflict and eventually the Second World War. No one can say how the current situation will unfold in the coming months or years. But we must be clear-eyed about the dangers that are building up in the world. Global institutions are getting weaker. International norms are eroding. More and more countries will act based on narrow self-interest and use force or pressure to get their way. This is the harsh reality of our world today.
Both sides realize escalation has reached a point of no return. They agree to a 72-hour ceasefire. Warships halt. Airstrikes stop. That a secret meeting is held in a neutral country. For the first time in 12 days, the world breathes. But the damage is done. 40,000 lives lost. $12 trillion wiped from the global economy. Supply chains shattered. Nations forced to pick sides. Alliances broken. Trust demolished. Taiwan, battered but still standing, becomes a neutral zone under international observation. The US and China agree to a cold peace. Not reconciliation, not victory, just survival. But from the ashes of war, something new emerges. A realization. The next world war may not last years. It may last days. It may not begin with invasions. It may begin with a line of code. And next time we might not be so lucky. So the question remains, what are world leaders doing today to prevent this? Or are they simply waiting for the storm to come? This was World Affairs Insider. Stay aware, stay awake. And remember, the next war won't warn you. It will just begin.